Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to day 201 of the Chronological Read Through the Bible. Today, for my commentary, I'm going to be in 2 Kings chapter 18 and really picking up in verse 13 because we've already read a first part of this Kings 18, but it was many, many days ago. So at this point, this is when the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, is pressing down upon Jerusalem. He's pressing King Hezekiah to give him a tribute. And I addressed this a little bit the other day. This is when King Hezekiah empties out his own personal treasury, but then he oversteps his bounds by going into the temple of God and not only removing the gold and silver from within the treasury of the temple, but he goes as far as removing the gold from the temple doors. He takes this out to Sennacherib's generals who have shown up from the battlefield. And you're going to see in verse 17, it gives some names. These are actually titles, positions. So it's more like general or field commander, but it's going to give the name Tartan, Rabasarius, Rabashikin, if I'm pronouncing that part right. It is titles of their position in the military. But this treasure is going to go out to them, but it's going to have little effect. And then when Hezekiah hints, well, I will just have the Egyptians support me, they're going to say the Egyptians couldn't even support themselves from a rod. The rod will break, or their staff will break and drive into their hand. It's sort of given this idea of like the reeds that growed along the side of the Nile. They might seem sturdy at first, but they would be very brittle and easily break. So it's saying, don't rely upon the Egyptians. This is, though, the mistake that Hezekiah will make. Now, I still come back to say, King Hezekiah really is, of all the kings of Israel, or kings of Judah, rather, I should say, he's the most impressive. He stands out even in his old age. He doesn't turn away from the Lord. His real mistake was he ended up having a lack of faith in his older age. So that's really Hezekiah's only real problem in his life and in his kingship. But as Assyria presses down upon him, he's going to have that moment of doubt and will go as far as removing the gold from the temple doors. The question today, in applying this into our spiritual life, is there a moment that you doubt the Lord? Is there a moment that you feel like you need to rely on your own standards and your own possessions? Is there a moment when your health is failing and you're saying, it's okay, I have health insurance, rather than saying, let me give this as a matter to the Lord in prayer. Let me call my brothers and sisters to come. Let me ask the pastor and the elders or the deacons of the church to anoint me with oil and pray over me. Or are you saying, it's okay, my health insurance or my doctor has this? That's almost the mindset that Hezekiah has with it. Well, my father, he paid tribute to Sennacherib and got away with it. But you must remember, Hezekiah's father was the most evil of the kings of Judah. And really, almost we see him parallel with King Ahab. And he was a godless king. Well, one of the things I also wanted to point out is Sennacherib's generals are going to say to the people, saying, isn't this the high places that you used to worship at that Hezekiah tore down? It's almost like trying to say to the people, Hezekiah interfered with your daily life, and don't you want to see him overthrown? They're forgetting that actually Hezekiah was returning the people to true worship of the Lord. So that didn't work, that plea of trying to get the people on their side. As I say, in your own life, though, as you read through this and you're seeing how godly Hezekiah is, you see his one moment, his lack of faith, I want to encourage you to make sure that you're leaning on the Lord. If Hezekiah had just paused and said, Lord, Assyria is coming upon us, they're attacking us, what do you advise me to do? The Lord would have given Hezekiah aid, but he wasn't turning to the Lord at that moment. Don't find yourself in a moment of lack of faith. Brothers and sisters, I thank you for tuning in today and being patient with me in my travels. Until tomorrow, God bless.